Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and could today be the day? Is this it? Is today the day that we start the stock market crash? And based off what Jerome Powell says at around 2 or 2:30 today, it could be, or we could just completely reverse and go bananas and try to hit all-time highs, I guess. For those of you who are new to the channel, make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel. We keep up with the stock market in general, but we also cover a handful of stocks and go over their news, their technical analysis. We handpick some stocks on occasion, and we're going to give you some today to keep an eye on and kind of put on your radar for the longer term. So what we're going to talk about today to start is the S&P 500. We're going to take a look at the charts, and I'm going to give you a handful of stocks that I am watching and buying, or either just kind of keeping an eye on my radar for them to continue to move further down before purchasing, and I'll tell you why I'm looking to purchase those stocks. So before we get into it, just to reiterate, not a financial advisor. Make sure that you do your own research. So the S&P 500, guys, we just crossed over on the Golden Cross breakout indicator, or we're about to cross over actually, and this typically, if we cross this blue line underneath this pink, and it's all kind of lining up right, so the MACD indicator is crossing from bullish to bearish. This signals that we typically have a pretty decent pullback or move to the downside when that happens, and vice versa. When you see that blue line crossed here, we had a very nice run to the upside. So it doesn't have to last forever. However, it could be almost kind of like a little flash crash in a sense. But your first level of support here, 49.87.97, depending on what Jerome Powell says. Definitely possible we can break through that and pull down to about 48.19, 4800 level. And then below there, you're looking at, let's see, I think 46. Let's see, go down, 46.82. Okay. I think that we should probably settle around the 48.19 if we break below this first support level here, and then we'll kind of have to see what happens from there. Okay, so some stocks that I'm watching going into today, okay, on Wednesday. The first one that I'm keeping an eye on, guys, is Tesla. And Tesla, I was actually eyeing to go down to about $100, but then it bounced off of 138 and made a rally all the way up to almost $200. And now we're seeing a pullback, and it's really setting up for a nice recovery, a nice bounce, possibly potentially on the 170 mark. So if we get all the way down to 170, we bounce here, and then we can potentially maybe get up here, this 192, 193 level. And if we bust through that again, then I think that we're going to see a very, very aggressive move to the upside, depending on what is said at Jerome Powell's meeting today. Okay, the Golden Cross indicator is getting close to crossing over from bearish to bullish right here. So if we do bounce off of 170 and come back up to about 190, I think that's confirming that we're going to see a pretty big rip to the upside. I think we can see like 225, 230 up to that point. So this is one that I'm watching here. Because if it does happen to, let's say Jerome Powell comes in and he says that we're not going to cut rates, we're not going to pause rates, we're going to actually, give another rate hike, then I think this could fall down and retest at 138 level. And then for me, I'm watching and looking and maybe buying more at that level, or watching to see if it can go to 100 if that happens. If he comes out and says, hey, we're just pausing, or for some reason they do a rate cut, then I'm watching it go up. I think the market's going to rip significantly higher. So Tesla's the first one that I'm watching as of now. Second one is going to be Amazon. As you know, that they had earnings. They actually beat earnings, had a great earnings, and then the stock fell all the way down to like 160 something, 165, recovered, and now we finished at about 175. Currently at about 179 as of this morning pre-market. So your current support is 172.83. Below that's 162.35. As you see, it kind of bounced off of that. Past that point's 153, 145, 133, and 117. Overall tip top on 89.77. And again, depending on what Jerome Powell says, is going to determine on if this thing busts through $200 or close to, or test $200, or we fall and come and retest 150, in my personal opinion. So if it comes through and it busts below 172, 162, and it comes down to 153, I'm looking at this really closely, because if it falls anywhere in the 140s to the 130 range, I'm a buyer again of Amazon. And if it busts through and starts moving up past that 189.77, then I'm just holding. I did take out a longer term option for Amazon yesterday prior to earnings, and never would have imagined that we wouldn't have got any type of movement on Amazon based on those earnings calls. I thought that we were going to start moving really significantly after hours, after the earnings came out. But of course, everyone's kind of waiting for Jerome Powell today to see exactly what he says before the market makes up its mind on what it wants to do. And hey guys, while I got you here, just a quick reminder, in the description we have our link to sign up for Webull. If you guys are looking for a new platform on that, you can use my referral link. Also, I have some of my favorite books that you can get off of Amazon that are really good to read if you're looking to learn more about money, sales, things of that nature. And then also the daily devotional that we talked about in the ZNOG video, that's also linked in the description. Go ahead and click that link, give them a subscribe, and get your minute to minute and a half daily devotionals to start your day. Next stock, guys, to take a look at and keep an eye on is Sasol. Okay, SSL is the ticker symbol. You got a 180-day 4-hour time frame here. The 180-day high is $14. The low of $6.78 currently, but I do think that we can go lower than that. As you see, we just crossed over. Golden cross indicator did just signal that we should see some more move to the downside here, and I'm keeping an eye very closely on Sasol, and I'm really hoping that we get into minimum the fives. Possibly below that would be actually more beneficial. As you see, the daily chart dating back to 2020, the high was actually $28.37, or all the way down to $6. It looks like we could go as low as potentially $2 and some change, which would be fantastic in my opinion for me, because I'm going to look to load up and hold for a longer term play here. So keep an eye on Sasol. If it gets to $5, really watch it, because I think that it could go a lot lower than that, and then I'll let you know whenever I decide to come in and buy on this particular stock. But I do think it's one to keep an eye on, because whenever it starts to recover, and catalyst here, whenever we get closer to the election cycle, especially if Trump wins, this stock here I think is going to start moving up, along with a lot of other oil and gas type plays. So this is one that you need to keep on your radar. SSL is the ticker symbol. The next one, guys, we're going to talk about is PINN National Gaming. It's been a while since I talked about this little puppy. Back in 2020, PINN National Gaming got beat down like it stole something, along with everything else. Fell all the way down from about $35-40 all the way down to I think $4. I had bought some shares in it and then sold way too early, because it went up so fast that I hurried up and took my money out, and I could have just held on and made, probably several 100% more than what I did. But this one here, guys, is one that I really like. It's down to $15.85. I'm looking at potentially being a buyer at $10 or below if it gets to that point. I don't know if it will. So it's one to keep an eye on, in my opinion. That 180-day 4-hour time frame, that 180-day high of 27.21 is your high, and you see it's gotten beaten down pretty well. If it breaks below that 15.85, things are going to get really interesting there for PINN National Gaming. I think that we could see $10 or below. That's where I would come in to look to start kind of nibbling at and start building out a position. So keep an eye on PINN National Gaming, PENN, and if you type in their ticker symbol in Google, you can kind of take a look more about that company there. And then the last one, guys, I'm taking a look at and starting to watch as we eye hurricane season is Generac generators, ticker symbol GNRC. We're predicted to have one of the worst hurricane seasons potentially ever in in history. And then typically whenever this happens, these type of stocks tend to do well and go up. Okay, as you see here, this is just back from October. We had a huge move to the upside, and as you see, we're at $143 basically from October, when we started out at about $80, almost a 100% gain off of Generac. So if we look at dating back to 2020, we can just kind of have an idea. 2020 was a year in which we saw a massive move because we had several major hurricanes there. We were all the way up to $524 on Generac generators. Okay, and we did literally just cross the longer term golden cross breakout indicator. Okay, so I think if we bust through 143.30, you could potentially see a lot bigger move on Generac generators. So this is one that you want to make a decision on probably sooner rather than later. If you're going to start buying some, I start buying them on the dips. And I know it's kind of more expensive stock in the 140s, but you can take out an option even, and maybe say like an option of 200 or 250. And then if this thing starts moving, you'll make more money and also maybe come out cheaper in the long run as far as owning shares of that company or whatnot. So anyway, guys, just wanted to give you an update on some stocks that I'm watching and looking to buy in the future. Let me know your comments below. Other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.